YouTube family, what's good with you? It's your boy 2A in LA, and as always, fam, anything I say in this episode, prior episodes, and future episodes is just my personal opinion. Don't take it as fact. Don't take it as law. Always do your own homework and come up with your own conclusions. Right about now, fam, I should go ahead and tap that like button for your boy. If you're new to the channel, I want to say welcome. Come on in. You can join the congregation by smashing that subscribe button and requesting all post notifications. And if you are an existing supporter of this channel, fam, I appreciate you more than you can possibly imagine. You are the reason this channel is anything. All right, fam, let's get this episode rolling. So look, we got to go. We got a good one. As you guys know, my good friends at Jacob Grey sent out their brand new NOX9 to the channel for review. It is stunning. It is stunning. And if you want to know how much I like it, I got one on order. If I didn't love it, I certainly wouldn't spend my hard-earned coin on it. So it's a phenomenal gun. Grail gun status on the 2A in LA scale. The gun scored a 91. And arguably, if it weren't for, some reliability issues that I ran into, in my opinion, in part because of the ammo choice, so I put that on me, but in part because of the way I think the gun is sprung, there was a little bit of inconsistency there. If not for that, it would likely scored a 92 or 93. It would have been, even higher on the scale. And so that should be an indication to you. And I should also say this is a test model. It is not the ultimate production model. And so some things will be tweaked and fine-tuned, I'm sure, before they send these guns out into the wild. Now, if you've been watching the channel, you know I've done a video comparing the NOX9 to a couple of the hybrid pistols in my collection. I compared it to the Combat Precision GT Dark Horse, and I compared it to the Dark Forge Reaper, both of which are Grail guns, both of which scored in the 90s. And so if you haven't seen that episode, definitely go back and check that out, especially if you're trying to decide between one of those guns and the NOX9. In this episode, I thought we'd continue kind of the evolution of these comparisons, and we put the NOX9 up against kind of the standard bearer, if you will, for most kind of higher end 2011. Not that they make the best, but I feel like they make some of the best 2011s out there, and arguably are the highest producer of higher end 2011s out there, and that is Atlas Gunworks. And I'm going to put it up against a couple Atlas Gunworks guns. The first of which is the Atlas Gunworks Apollo. You guys know I think this is one of the best do-all pistols out there on the market. One of the best do-all pistol money can buy. This gun is ported. It is not a hybrid gun, but it is ported. Incredibly well balanced, incredible trigger, incredible fit and finish. And because I could not do an Atlas comparison, at least you guys wouldn't let me get away without doing an Atlas comparison to the Atlas Erebus. And so you guys know for a long time the Erebus was the best shooting gun I'd ever experienced, best shooting gun on my channel. It held that down for quite some time. Remains one of the best shooting pistols in my collection. And I will put the scores for the Apollo and the Erebus up there, as well as the NOX9, so you can kind of see the differences in them. The Erebus, of course, is not ported, but has a very big compensator on it. And so, this is kind of an interesting comparison, because you've got the comped gun, right? You have the ported gun, and then you have the hybrid gun, which is comped and ported. Now, I said when I did the Jacob Grey NOX9 review that, look, this Jacob Grey NOX9 the comp is very interesting. Normally, when you see a gun that's comped, and I'll show you the comparison between the comp on the Jacob Grey and the comp on the Erebus, while the blocks themselves may be close in size, I think the Atlas has a little bit bigger block, but the size of that comp is huge on the Erebus. It takes up, probably 75% of the real estate on that sight block, whereas on the NOX9, you can see that it's a thin comp with a quite a bit of real estate, where maybe the comp only takes up about 25% of the real estate on the sight block out front. Now, it also has that 3 inline port system on it, right? Whereas the Apollo has kind of that V pattern with the elongated oval ports versus like the circular, more round ports. And so look, I think this is a great conversation to have because you've got 3 pistols that are similar yet distinctively unique, that go about trying to do the same thing, which is keep the gun flat, mitigate recoil, yet keep the gun fast and accurate. All of them with that goal, all of them approaching it from a slightly different perspective. Now, I'll start off with my comparison with the Apollo and the Nox, because these two are in striking distance from a price perspective. The Apollo, I think, is MSRP between $600 and $6,500. If I can, I'll put the MSRP up there for you, while the Jacob Grey is coming in, the NOX9 is coming in just shy of $6,000 in that $5,800 range. So they're a stone's throw from each other in terms of price. And so I thought this would be a great comparison to talk about. When I think about these two guns, fit and finish are comparable. I think if Jacob Grey set out and said, we want to make a gun with the kind of fit and finish and quality that you would see in an Atlas gun for a slightly lesser price with more features, I think they accomplished it. I think this is an Atlas level quality built gun. If not, it's very, very close. Very, very close. I would say that they are comparable. Both well machined, both well coated, great triggers in both. Yeah, I love how these two guns are manufactured. Just very, very special. I would say the difference really comes down to shootability. Both are very, very accurate firearms, so there's no doubt about that. I would say this, that the NOX9 feels a little flatter, feels a little smoother, feels a little softer. I would say the Apollo is a little bit more, I hesitate to use the word violent because it's still a soft shooting gun relative to most guns, but certainly more violent than the Jacob Grey. I would also say I think it's a faster gun than the Jacob Grey. So what's your taste, right? Are you the guy who likes that kind of raw power, feel to it? You like to feel the recoil. You're happy when that's your jam. Then I would say the Apollo is definitely the gun for you. If you're somebody who maybe struggles with grip pressure, or you like a more softer shooting experience, then I'd say that I'd lean in to the NOX9. And I think arguably those are the major differences between the two. Now, I usually, when I'm doing comparisons, I usually don't talk a lot about flex. And when I do, it's more about the aesthetics of the gun. I think both of these guns are stunning. I think that I like the slide serrations on the Atlas, maybe a little bit better than I do the slide serrations on the Jacob Grey. But I think everything else, I love the grip module of the Jacob Grey. I love the way they PVD'd all the small parts on the and the barrel on the gun. I think they did a phenomenal job. I would actually give an edge in terms of aesthetics a little bit to the Jacob Grey. Also, the fact that it's ported and compensated, I think gives it, the gun is a little bit, Jacob Grey is a little more feature rich at a cheaper or less expensive price point than the Apollo. Now, I think this is Jacob Grey's first foray into kind of the luxury or high-end 2011 space. I don't think they have established the name in that space that an Atlas has. Like when you say I own an Atlas gun, that is a flex in and of itself. And so for flex, I'd say these two guns are probably equally yoked. Certainly Atlas has a long history. Their customer service is well documented. There's something to be said for that. Atlas makes almost all of their parts, but so does Jacob Grey. And so look, I think that these two guns are both phenomenal firearms. Which one is best? I think there are certain things that are better about each. I would say that they're comparable guns. They're comparably priced. If you like a fast, more, visceral shooting experience, then the Apollo is going to be for you. And if you like something that's a little bit smoother, a little bit softer, like I said, if you struggle with grip pressure a little bit more, then the Jacob Grey is going to be for you. I also mentioned that the Jacob Grey had a couple of reliability issues relative to this gun, and Atlas guns are just grew to the nines relative to reliability. All right, next up, the Atlas Gunworks Erebus. So the Erebus represents the height of the Atlas lineup right now, particularly since the Chaos has been discontinued. This gun has about an $8,000 price tag. Again, sub $6,000 price tag. So like $2,200 difference between these two guns. I'll go ahead and I'll eliminate this suspense. Which gun is better? The Erebus is better. It is. Is it $2,000 better? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. This gun, I would argue, is as flat as the Erebus. Maybe flatter. Both of them are ridiculously flat, though. Both of them are soft shooting firearms, even at higher rates of speed. Again, I think that kind of this comp. That's what I'm saying, y'all. The size of this comp is doing probably about the same amount of work as the comp and the ports are doing here. So I would say let this be a lesson that just because something is ported and comped does not necessarily mean it's softer shooting than something that is just ported or something that is just comped. These things don't operate in a vacuum. I was speaking with Don from Venom Customs, and we were kind of talking about the symphony that is a firearm, how the ports, the comp, the weight of the gun and the various parts, the tuning of the gun, how the gun is sprung, how all those things kind of work together along with the various ammunition that go into the gun, right? How all those things work together to get you a shooting experience. So no, just because a gun there are guns that are just ported that are softer and flatter than ported and comped guns, depending on the ports and the comp. And so that is why, even though this gun is ported and comped, I would say the Erebus is just as flat. I think that the Erebus is probably a little bit faster. Jacob Grey is probably a little bit smoother. I would just say all around fit, finish, and function, I would give the edge to the Erebus. But you're paying a $2,000 price for the premium, and you know, in all likelihood, a longer wait time depending on whether you're okay with the DLC version or you want some kind of additional colorway. So look, fam, if I am deciding about whether I want a Nox, an Apollo, or an Erebus, I'm just going to say, from a value basis, from what you get for what you pay for, the Nox is the clear winner. I think aesthetically, it's as attractive, if not more attractive, than the other two guns. From a shootability standpoint, I think it is on par with both of those guns, and it comes in at a price point that is anywhere between $750 to $2,000 less, right? So I think if you're going value-based, you're choosing the Nox. If you're going strictly from a shootability perspective, I'm going to call the Nox and the Apollo kind of a draw. Again, it's more your flavor. Do you want something that has maybe a little bit more style points to it? Do you want something that's a little bit smoother, softer, and slower? Or do you want something that's more visceral, more fast, and a little bit less flat? If you like that, then you'll go for the Apollo. If you like the prior, then you're going to go with the Nox. Now, if you're comparing this gun to this gun, I'd say these two guns are more cut from the same cloth. I'd say the Erebus is as good, if not better, than the Nox in pretty much every way, maybe with the exception of aesthetics. And I think it's an all-around better gun. It's also over $2,000 more than the Nox. And so if I didn't want to pay that premium, and I would be perfectly content to have a gun that is drop dead gorgeous and can shoot with the Erebus for $2,000 less, then I would consider the Nox. All right, fam, I hope that was helpful for everybody who is trying to decide whether they should get a Nox or hold out for Atlas. Hopefully this was illuminating for you. That is it for this episode. Until next time, as always, take care of one another and peace.